Hi, everyone. This is Jessica Pettit with Good Enough Now. I am super excited to introduce you to my new book, Ding! Good Enough Now, How Doing the Best You Can with What You Have is Better Than Doing Nothing. What's interesting is that, at least to me, is I've been doing social justice education and diversity work for probably the last 15 years. Whether I'm doing specific content based on identities or getting involved with each other, building inclusive communities, or doing broad stroke work around judgments, assumptions, and listening. What I have found is the common denominator is most of us are terrified of messing up. We're terrified of not being perfect, of offending someone, or just being frustrated that we have to constantly be trying not to offend someone. So here's what I did. I put together 15 years of my career life lessons into a book specifically about being good enough now. It's about trying to try and not waiting until you're perfect. So what I wanted to do is just to give you kind of a brief overview of the book so that you can find out if for sure this is something you'd be interested in. Chances are it will be. At least that's what's happened so far. My book actually will be in your hot little hands in April of 2017. I've already sold almost 1,000 copies of a book that doesn't even exist yet to go along with my speaking programs that I'm doing at conferences coming up in 2017. So a little bit about the book. First, it's divided into 3 sections: good, enough, and now. Good, the section really talks about a particular model that I use to kind of assess how we respond. What are our behavior patterns? It's not a personality assessment as much as it is a habitual behavior assessment tool that goes around being heady, hearty, action-oriented, or some combination of. What I think is particularly interesting there, as James Baldwin says, is that if I love you, I have to tell you or make you aware of the things about yourself you don't even see. And that's really what we do here. So it's a little bit of self-awareness work. You can do it in groups. It's very interactive and there's lots of handouts and activities, but it's to help you do what I call party of one work, self-reflection work, and how to deal with them. We all have a them, and how grammar works is you're them, you could be a them to somebody else. So how to deal with the people that scare you or frustrate you the most, possibly also being self-reflective enough to realize you might be frustrating or scary to someone else. We also take Tony Alessandra's The Platinum Rule, and I pull it together with difficult conversations. There's some really amazing stuff in here about how we communicate with each other across difference as well as across difficult topics. So I take that information together. There's handouts, there's interactive activities, etc. That makes out the good section. Then we get to the second section of the book, which is enough. And this really gets to how we got to being the way we are. It's not that we're terrible, it's that we often don't even know how we ended up the way we did. And then when we're communicating with someone else, we don't leave space for them. So we're going to talk a little bit about our crucible moments that have made us who and how we are. We often react, or lack of reaction comes from kind of a survival mechanism that have come from different pieces of our life. We're also going to talk about a concept of differently right. This is not getting into moral relativism as much as it is being able to hold a conversation with someone else for 30 seconds that maybe, just maybe, they have something to offer, and how to expect that from them as well. Then we get to leaving room for edits, the idea that we write stories about everyone to feel safe and prepared, but can we write those stories triple-spaced with extra wide margins and then genuinely, curiously seek additional information? That additional information will make our stories more accurate. It doesn't necessarily mean, of course, we're wrong. We can just become righter. And then what key lessons have we learned from these kind of edits or these crucible moments in our life so that we can be better? In this particular section, I lean pretty heavily on the lessons I learned from crucial conversations as well as fierce conversations. This really gets to kind of the difficulty of why it's so challenging to talk about difficult topics or with frustrating people, but what part of that is us? What part of that is just our excuses? What part of that are our behaviors? And then once we understand, we can keep the good stuff, notice the stuff that's inconsistent, and then pick a list that we actually do want to change. So that's section 2, enough. And then lastly, section 3 is kind of now what? So we're going to talk about our gas pedal and how that can power us through obstacles, but it also can slow us down and hinder us with excuses. We talk about just being better. The idea of this exceptionalism, perfection, can really hinder our ability to communicate and connect with other people. So how to just be better, more consistently, and aware that we need to work. How to hold space for other people so that we can really be better listeners and allow a whole person to actually show up to our team or our work or our conversation or our interaction. That also allows us to hold space so our full self can show up. Then we really get to kind of a now what communication model that can how our communication and our habits actually impact our connections and our relationships. In this particular section, I pull everything together, really leaning on William James and the idea of becoming an imitatable thing. What if people wanted to be more like us? Instead of us wanting everyone to be like us, they actually want to be more like us because our generosity and our authenticity is so present that we actually are creating a more inclusive space for other people to come and join. That increases retention, that increases attention, the ability to be creative and innovative because someone's full self and full set of life resources can be present. In this section, we also look at courageous conversations. Collectively, these books, 4 of them about different kinds of conversations, are all about listening and identifying kind of how this conversation is going and how the person you're communicating with works. My book, Good Enough Now, takes that one step further into responsibility, intentions versus impact, and how together we can actually have a connection with our communication, conversation partners in our work, our personal life, but at the grocery store or in parking lots, and how we can actually be better because we really are, right now, the best tools we have. So if we can do the best we can with what we have, some of the time, it's better than nothing at all. All of the other diversity trainings that I've ever been to, and some of which I've even led, didn't work. Amazing people have come before me and you, and they didn't succeed. We still have work to do to build on the work and the steps of those that preceded us, as well as to help the people who are following us. If we can continue to try and believe that we are actually good enough now, I believe that will be all the difference in the world. Thank you again for your support. I look forward to being able to help you, help me, help other people really take ownership and responsibility and claim, if not reclaim, responsibility for who and how we are and how we show up. We are good enough now. Thank you very much. Jessica Pettit from goodenoughnow.com.